RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. Please like, share, subscribe, leave loads of comments below. Check out the website, RevelatorAlf.com. So, on this very special Oh My Harley, I'm joined by Hollywood from Insane Throttle Biking News on YouTube from Chicago. Hello there. How are you?
How you doing, buddy? How's it out there, man, in London? You guys got rain, I'm presuming?
Well, actually, it's been a little bit dry the last few days, but no, yeah, most of the time we've had a lot of rain recently. What about you in Chicago? You got your snow yet?
Oh man, we're freezing out here.
Yeah, yeah. I've got some friends out there, and they keep on telling me how cold it gets, and they were doing the water in the air ice thing last year or the year before when you had a really cold winter, so that was good. Anyway, look, thanks so much for coming on and talking about bikes and Harleys and all that kind of good stuff. Why don't you tell everybody on here what you do on YouTube and also with your websites and also your radio show?
Well, we're Insane Throttle Biker News is the #1 biker news channel in the world. We do YouTube. Basically, it's Motorcycle Madhouse that you see us recording on YouTube. Yep. Our radio station's one of the biggest in the world too. But HarleyLiberty.com is our main biker news source. That lets everybody know what's going on worldwide, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, we're pretty big, man.
So the radio show, is that an internet radio show?
Yeah, it's Motorcycle Madhouse. We're sponsored by Spotify, iTunes, all the big ones.
Right. And so the HarleyLiberty.com is the news channel. Is that right?
Yeah, that's our you to get daily news off of that one.
Okay. And the other one, because I've been following you for quite a while. I mean, I really dig your stuff. Actually, I really like it. I like the news angle. I like that you're just bringing out news, whatever it is. So I think that's all really good stuff. But there's another one that you've recently launched. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's called Hooligan.
Yeah, hooliganbiker.com. That's where you'll get my personal opinions, unaltered, uncensored, like the other platforms. We get censored a lot, especially on YouTube. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. So that's almost like, I got you. So that's the unfiltered version of anything that you want to put out there, right?
Yeah, cravings from a lunatic, man. That's what I say.
Brilliant. Okay, let's. Are you ready for these dirty dozen questions then?
Go for it.
Oh yeah, it's not exactly an interrogation, but it's I don't know. We'll see how we go. Let's have a bit of fun with it.
Been there, done
that. Yeah, right. What motorcycle are you riding now? What was the last one that you owned? That kind of thing.
I ride an 01 Fatboy, and I just got a backup bike for the road, an 05 Boulevard. So I got two. Yeah. The 01 Fatboy, mostly West Coast, the big 18-inch ape hangers, the pipes, the whole 9 yards. That's my baby, but, it's kind of hard to ride cross-country with 18-inch ape hangers and all that stuff. So I got the Boulevard.
Right. And you do? Have you always ridden sort of Harleys, or did you start off on other bikes?
Well, my first bike was a '77 Triumph Bonneville, man. I wish I never got rid of that damn thing. I love Triumphs, and what a lot of people don't understand about me, I rode Harleys all my life. I've had them all my life, but I'm a big Suzuki and Triumph fan.
Right? Yeah. That's good. It's good to. I like all sorts of bikes myself. I'm not just. I talk about this quite a lot on my own channel. So I'm not really brand loyal. I don't really always just talk about Harleys or a Triumph that I had before. If I like a bike, I like it. It's just simple as that,
Well, with Harleys here in the United States, that's the have-to one, especially if you're in clubs. I love Harley, but I love the other bikes a little bit more. They're more dependable, more comfortable. I'm even in the sport bikes, man. I love Gustas and all that stuff.
Let me ask you a question about. We'll touch on it later as well. But the club scene, especially in the United States, of what you know of, is it still the case that those traditional motorcycle clubs are still very much Harley focused?
Oh
Or
yeah.
yeah, they are. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about sort of Indian? Would they allow Indians coming in, American brand, or not?
Anything. Well, most of the clubs. Well, I know the ones that I was in. Yeah, it's all American made. You have to have.
Right.
It's
Okay.
not specifically Harley, but American made.
Right. Right. Now, okay, obviously, now we're talking about those particular type of clubs. So obviously, you got lots of motorcycle clubs who, ride sports bikes or
Mhm.
Hayabusas or whatever it is. So that's a different type of club, I suppose.
Well, it's, a different culture.
Right.
Even the big ones that came to your country from ours, they don't need Harleys because Harleys are expensive as hell overseas.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just a different culture over there than it is
Yeah,
here.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of look at bike clubs from afar from this country and around Europe, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, Harleys are there, of course, but it's a much more mix of bikes
Mhm.
in biking culture across the board, really. It's not specifically Harleys, but they definitely are there. That's for sure. Okay, great.
Well,
Right now,
what I like about England and Australia and stuff, it's the culture is a lot different than here in the States. You guys seem to accept more of everybody, where here in the States, it's really picky.
now is that changing, or is it still very much, you
Oh,
know,
it's still very much alive over here,
really, really? Okay.
especially when you get into the well-known clubs. That's just stuff that's been going on for decades and ain't going to
Yeah.
change anytime soon.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
But
Sure.
if you go to Australia, you got Aborigines coming in. They're real accepted over there.
Right. Right. I suppose, whilst they might have the same name clubs in different countries, they have different,
Well, they go
uh,
under different rules. They
yeah,
go
different rules, different backgrounds, and also they're allowed to get away with different things in different countries. For
Mhm.
example, I don't know. And also, you could say exactly the same in the United States. Certain states will allow certain things, whereas other states you wouldn't get away with it.
Well, it depends what club you're in, because there's nationals, internationals that run these things, and they got their bylaws that are set in
Yeah.
stone.
Right. 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 Okay, great. Next question then. What do you think of technology that is on your bike? Or okay, forget about your bike, but new bikes. What do you think of this whole Harley thing of with the electric bike, the live wire, and this liquid cooled engines that are coming out? What do you
Well,
think
with
about the shift towards newer tech on these new
well,
bikes?
Harley has to make the shift. If not, they're going to get left behind.
Yeah,
Harley in the United States owns 50% of the big bike market. I'm talking baggers, stuff like that.
yeah,
What
yeah.
they're failing to do is get anything under the 1200cc range, and that's killing the company.
Right, right.
So they're just gonna debut the Pan American, the adventure bike.
Yeah,
Again, I go from the full spectrum when it comes to motorcycles, uh, but I'm still in that mindset where I can't even ride with the radio. I can't even get past that. The first fuel injected bike I just got was a Boulevard.
yeah.
Everything else has been carbureted.
Sure.
But I think the electric motorcycle is the future.
Yeah, yeah. Sure.
And me personally, I don't like the live wire that Harley put out. It's too expensive.
Yeah,
I'd recommend Zero, man.
yeah, yeah.
Zero is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Zero.
Mhm.
Not only the style, but the look of them and what they're doing as well, and the price point as well. I mean, we know we're at the threshold of electric bikes. We know they're going to be expensive. In the next 10 years or so, that price point is going to come down, and let's see if Harley can compete with that.
You know
Even
what?
with,
I really don't. Just because they got this attitude towards them that, hey, you're putting on a Harley Davidson logo, we should charge this much money. They're losing a lot of people, especially these
yeah,
kids now.
yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that later because I've got a big question about that. But I think you're absolutely right. I think they have a business culture within the company that is kind of outdated. I think they need to move
Well,
with the times. So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, Brill. Right, next question. We kind of talked a little about, you started riding, you had a Triumph Bonneville and you've been riding for God, how many years, who knows,
Since
a long time.
91, man.
Sorry?
Since 91.
91, right? And always in the Chicago area, were you?
Yeah, always in Chi-Town. I went through the 90s and stuff when it was really bad with clubs. And yeah, it
Right.
was hardcore stuff back then.
And you were in a club before, right? A couple of clubs, but you're not in clubs now. Is that correct?
I was in the Predadores, which was my first club, and then I was a Piston.
Okay, and those are all sort of local clubs to Chicago or Illinois State, are they? Or
Chicago was the Predadores, the Pistons worldwide.
oh, right, okay. Okay, but listen, I mean, you've obviously ridden a lot, you've been around the biking scene a lot and all that kind of stuff. If you had to pinpoint one time, which is like your best ride or your best time riding, when would that be?
It had to be 90s, early 90s, going down to Daytona and doing some real long rides. Back then, I was a lot younger than I am now.
Yeah. Right.
The other day, my little brother says, "Hey, man, it's like 35, 40 degrees. Let's go out riding." Like, screw that, man. I've been out there, done that. You do you.
Yeah,
I ain't doing
exactly.
it. Plus, in the wintertime, I don't like putting my bikes out there because of all the salt on the roads.
Right. Sure. Yeah, it's one of those things over here. It's a constant battle. You have to wrap up in so many different layers that you could hardly move on the bike, and then there's all that crap on the road, and you think, "But is it really worth it?" But there you go.
Right.
Okay, good. Let's talk about you got your Fatboy. You put the apes on it. Is there anything else that you've modified it, or
you put cams on there. I'm mostly a West Coast style gangster type of thing, just because of my upbringing and stuff. That's what I'm into, the Latino scene.
Oh yeah.
So you got the fishtails, you got the engine work I've done, and the freaking the apes, of course, bigger front headlights. We're gonna go with the paint job this year, so put a couple murals on it.
Is that kind of style that you like? Is that quite well adopted in the sort of Chicago area, or is it purely this is what you like and nobody else in your area really likes that?
Midwest scene is a lot different than the West Coast scene. I'm mostly into the lowrider stuff, lowrider scene, if you will.
Yeah.
Again, I grew up in that type of neighborhood. I went through the street gangs, if you will, and that's just my style. A lot of the other guys look at. I'm one of those guys who will wear Converse, before I wear any kind of boots. So I'm just a different breed than a lot of these other ones.
Yeah. Okay, cool. What do you think? So let me expand on this a little bit about modifications. What do you think about modern Harley owners or owners of modern Harleys, let's put it that way, who are just modifying their bikes and just spending thousands and thousands of dollars on their bike, for a very small percentage performance gain, let's say?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what it is. I think their Midwest or middle age crisis, rubs, if you will. They want to play the part so bad, and I'm sure it happens in England. And here in the United States, it's bad. Where they want to jump on that bike. They want that biker mystique. They want to spend all this kind of money on it. And they really don't get any performance out of it. Instead of doing your engine work first, they'll go for, the pretty look and all that stuff. They really don't know where they're going with it, and they're just throwing out money.
Do you think this is, I suppose, another side issue, as you brought it up, do you think there are a lot of, certainly in the United States, do you think there are kind of a lot of pretenders out there? A lot of people who, as you say, playing the part?
Well, you know what it is with that. I don't think anybody's a pretender. I think they're either a motorcyclist enthusiast or they're a hardcore biker. Now, a lot of stuff that I say on my program, it just makes people's head turn because they just don't get what we used to do. You guys are like kitty cats compared to what we do, and the way these new people think. And I think that's why I'm not in the club scene anymore, is because they think a lot different than we used to.
Right.
It was always hardcore back then, where now it's all PC to me.
Yeah, look, we're suffering with that over here as well, but not just in bike culture or motorcycle culture. We're talking about, society in general. There's a lot of the PC is sort of taken over. I think the lunatics have taken over the asylum, as I like to say. But
Well,
there
it's
we go.
just like on our, I'll do a couple posts on Facebook and stuff like that of, a couple broads. And it's like, okay, man, we're going to take them both home. Then you'll see them pop up. Well, I already got a girlfriend. I don't need, it's like, what?
Yeah, yeah,
You're going
yeah.
to have two 18-year-old blondes right there ready to blow you. And you don't want none of that? See, that's,
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that the whole spirit has changed, doesn't it? The whole emphasis has changed. It's gone from that in sort of even mainstream motorcycling, motorcycle racing, car racing as well. When you got the pitboard girls and all that sort of stuff. A lot of the time that now races, they've even banned those girls from being on the grid. It's a lot of motorcycle shows. They're not having model girls, walking around. I've always been in two minds about that because, well, actually, it's just eye candy. It is what it is, and just, just accept it or you don't like it or whatever. The problem is now that the manufacturers, they are going after a bigger market. It's not just the old salty dogs like you and me who are going to buy these bikes. Actually, it's new, younger people. It's girls, women, which is the biggest demographic out there. So they're having to tone all of this down. All the girls in the PR, in the promotional stuff, they're having to put clothes on, and it's appealing to the wider masses, isn't it?
Well, I think that's the reason why, because a lot of people ask me, well, why are you telling everybody to do riding clubs or associations? It's because I'm trying to save the motorcycle club's time, because you're just going to waste it because you don't know what you're doing. You
Yeah,
just want that patch. You
yeah,
go to a riding club. You're not ready for it.
yeah. Okay, look, here's I suppose this kind of comes on to my next question, actually, which is, what do you think of modern motorcycle culture? Is it the same wolf but dressed in sheep's clothing?
You know what? Today's motorcycle culture is something if you asked me back when I first started, I wouldn't have recognized it.
Yeah,
Now it is a lot of freaking pretenders out there.
yeah,
And, if you're on the internet and stuff, you can see I got to deal with it every day.
yeah.
Uh, but there's a lot of pretenders. That's what I'll just put out there. It is nothing like it used to be.
Sure.
People want the reputation, but they don't want to get it.
Yeah. Well,
That's the way I put it here.
what I've seen over here in the UK is that not only has the bike scene changed, the biker scene changed, but the whole motorcycling lifestyle or the motorcycle community has changed completely. When I first started riding out, I mean, I've been riding dirt bikes since I was sort of 10 years old, 9 years old. Then I got onto the road, and it's almost like when I was a kid on the road, you were part of a group of vulnerable people on the road, and you all kind of helped each other out. You all kind of, took care of each other. There was a kind of if you saw somebody on the side of the road, broken down with their bike, you'd pull over, because you knew that your bikes weren't that reliable, and that's, we couldn't afford the best bikes. We'd know they'd break down. We'd know that, there was a culture around it that you'd have to earn your stripes a little bit. I'm not even talking about being in clubs here. I'm talking about just being in bikes, going to bike pubs, going into biker bars or rallies or whatever. You had to earn your stripes a little bit, but there was that community around you that you're all part of it. But as years have gone on, the bikes have got more sophisticated, more reliable, and they got more expensive. More and more people have got richer. They can afford better bikes, and so the whole thing is sort of diluted a little bit. I've seen it over here, and I'm sure you've seen it over there as well.
Right. Well, you're spot on with that, man. You really are. A lot of people get upset because, we call them rubs over here. They're driving around, they're trailering the bikes. To me, it don't really matter because they earn the money. They can spend it the way they
Yeah,
want to spend
sure.
it.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
It
Yeah,
all comes down to attitude if you want to be put into that type of category. If not, you're just an enthusiast to me.
yeah. Okay, okay. Let's go on to the next question then. So this is probably right up your alley, actually. What do you think of modern motorcycle clubs and cultures? Do they have a future with new generation bikers?
Well, the modern motorcycle clubs, you got so many pop up. It's unreal. They don't know what it's all about. That's why I always talk about going to riding clubs instead of starting your own thing.
Right.
I always believe if you're going to have a patch, you better back it up because the
Yeah.
street's a lot different than the internet.
Sure.
I really only recognize clubs that were started real early on in the club scene. You had AOA in the 30s, you had the Angels in the 40s, and then, the 50s and 60s seeing the explosions. Those are the clubs I really think are the legit clubs. But when it comes to the pop-ups and stuff, they go out there, they get stomped, and then they wonder why. Or you'll
Yeah.
have these arguments. Well, it's the Constitution. We're allowed to do it. Well, the Constitution, and I've gotten in some great heated debates about this one, don't protect you on the streets. The streets
No.
are a lot different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could claim anything, can't you? But as you so rightly say, it's when somebody's face to face with you, then
It's a
you're
whole
going to
lot
see.
different.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I'm sure.
The new generation, that's why I say go join a riding club. You guys are too PC. You're not ready for what you got to do,
Yeah,
and save the club's time.
it's funny. It's funny. I did a podcast about, I suppose, a year ago, something like that, and I suppose I asked the question, not necessarily is it a good thing to join a motorcycle club. I wasn't really talking about that. I was talking about why would you join a motorcycle club? What's your motivation to join? But also, are motorcycle clubs finding new members or younger members that are made of the right stuff? I'm not so sure they can anymore.
No,
Yeah.
not no more. They're not.
Okay, so I'm not way off base then. That is true. That is, you would say.
Oh,
That's
well,
true.
here in the States it is.
Yeah, yeah. But I see younger people, younger kids out there, coming up, and I think, well, where's your head at? What, how can you even you can't even concentrate for 5 minutes, never mind apply yourselves to something. I know I'm generalizing, but
Right. Well, if they want to if anybody wants to join a motorcycle club, know this: you're not going to have a family in life, and you're not going to have a lot of money on you.
yeah, sure. I mean, I think
That's why I laugh when the feds and stuff over here, DEA and all that, claim that clubs are organized crime. It's like when I was in it, I seen guys having a hard time paying their dues, more or less, trying to be gangsters.
yeah, absolutely. I think. Do you know what? I think I've commented on a couple of your videos in the past, but I think the whole thing for me has been warped ever since. Well, even before Sons of Anarchy, to a certain degree, but we let a load of biker movies come out. Some B movies as well, but it started building up, and then when Sons of Anarchy hit the airwaves or hit the TVs, that's it. It just went completely bonkers with what people thought a motorcycle club should be.
Right.
And you get people acting out the part or acting as if they are. You get all these clubs starting up, which is, look, I've got no problem. If you want to start a club, start a club. I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I have no issue with it at all. I have no affiliation with it. It doesn't bother me. Whatever's up to you is up to you. You know what I mean?
But you got to be able to defend that patch,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got to be. Well, I suppose also depends what kind of club you are as well. And what kind of, what hierarchy, you come under, and the dominant clubs and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's a shift. There's a shift in how people thought about clubs and how they thought they should act in a club. And I keep on saying to people, God, you've been watching too much TV. You've been watching. This is not real. It's a show. It's a TV show. It's entertainment. Just because they're all going around shooting everybody or whatever, or running drugs or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean that every club is like that.
Well, I can tell you that we didn't act like that. And actually, while I was a Piston, if you did anything illegal, you were kicked out of the club.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't want none of that around, man. They don't want Rico or any of that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to me that you say there is this kind of perception, I suppose, amongst law enforcement, I suppose, especially in the United States, where clubs are being targeted or what's the word, profiled and things like that.
Oh yeah, the profiling is pretty bad here in the States, and that's one of the things that I don't like here in the States is you got these new jacks.
Yeah.
Well, we support cops, or they'll try to be a part of their clubs. Is like, wait a second, man. There's that line that we never crossed.
Yeah.
And it's normal for them.
Yeah, but your profiling in the United States has been going on a lot longer before they start targeting clubs, though, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been going on since the 50s and 60s.
Well, I remember, because I used to live in the States. I used to live in California many years ago, and I remember there was talk of, soon after I left, actually, I thought they brought in the Patriot Act.
And the Patriot Act, yeah.
Yeah, and then they start. Now, who was it? There was some kind of high official in the US government at the time. She was a lady, and she formed a list of every motorcycle owner in the United States. And they were profiling back then, just purely on motorcycle ownership.
Well, one of the big things, and people ask me why you bump on cops all the time, is, well, one, I'm from Chicago. I've seen what cops are about. I had, because I was running businesses back then. I had them on payroll, and because I ran an adult business, it was like pay you your deal, then you get some tail on the side. So I know what they're about. But what these new guys don't understand here in the States is, the 70s and 80s, they were bad with profiling here, and a lot of the old timers paid the price, but here you are crossing that line going back to them.
Right, yeah.
So there's always contention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, the police in the United States across the board haven't had a good reputation for the last few years, have they? Especially lots of the stuff that's been coming out. So
I have nothing for them, man.
Yeah. Okay, right. So look, I would say that within any group, not everybody is bad in any group, and not anybody is good in any group. You're always going to have good and bad, whether it's in police forces, whether it's in Salvation Army, whatever. You're always going to get some good and bad, I think.
Well, I can tell you this: give me any copy to be the biggest goody two shoe, and I can turn them with a couple bucks and a woman.
Do you know what? I bet you could as well. I bet you could. Okay, right. Next question then. Okay, let's think about, okay, if you had to buy another bike, another Harley, what would it be? But if you want to just skip to the last bit, what is your favorite Harley of all time, or what is your favorite bike of all time?
My favorite bike of all time was the Bonneville, the Triumph. I started off with. Again, I'm not a huge, I have the Harleys. I rode them all my life, but I'm not huge on them. I'll never own another Harley again just because of the way the company is.
Right.
I'm more into the blue collar guys. My whole family were miners and steel workers. And when Harley left its core business of what put them in business, and then you had the CEO come out and say, hey, Made in America wasn't the biggest deal. Yeah, it was a big deal for a lot of us. And I just lost all respect for the company. My favorite Harley had to be a shovel head. I love shovel heads.
Sure.
But the Fatboy is my last bike I'll have. Other than that, any bike going forward, it's going to probably be a Suzuki, or I'm looking at the new Triumphs.
Let's talk about you. You wouldn't own another Harley, but what about the new bikes that are going to come out? The Pan America, the adventure bike, and the street bike. Do you think
with the Pan America, I just think Harley's way out of its league, man. You got the Honda African coming out. Honda's been in the adventure bikes forever. We used to call them enduros here in the
yeah, exactly. We still do so.
And you know, I think Honda and Suzuki, Yamaha, mostly the Japs have a corner on that market. When you're talking live wire, I don't think they're in a, you know, they're $30,000. I don't think they got a chance against Zero. Zero is the motorcycle for electric bikes, and I think Zero is going to take us into that generation.
Yeah.
The Bronx, you know, that's coming out later this year. The biggest mistake, I think, of any of these models have been Harley got rid of Dyna and they got rid of the V-Rod.
Right. Yeah.
I think those were huge mistakes. But the Pan American, I don't think it's going to, you know, especially the price point, I don't think it's going to compare to Honda's African.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's got to come in at the right price, and also it's got to be capable off-road. If it's not good off-road, if it's too heavy, and also if it's too weak, if it breaks at the slightest rock or the slightest bump in a track, that's where it's going to fall on its ass. Otherwise, you know.
I just don't think the dependability's there with Harley.
Yeah. I think there's a gap in the adventure bike market or the larger enduro market. I think there is a gap there. But it's such a competitive market. BMW, Triumph, KTM, the Japanese, as you said.
Well, you got to also throw in, because I'm sure Polaris is going to, you know, they got everything, ATVs, they got OTVs.
Yeah.
Harley, I don't think they got the engineering and technology.
Look, it's interesting because Harley are actually, you know, they've got this what's it called? This new roads or this better roads thing. They want to attract more people. They want to evolve as a company, which I think is a good thing.
Well, so do I. But from us old timers, to me, I said it 20 years ago. Unless you start, because they always had this problem with it would be the same Sportster model, just change this, or to be the same.
Right.
They never diversified like they should have in the old days.
Yeah.
I think they're paying for it. I think Honda, I think Suzuki, I think Yamaha, they're better bikes. BMW's the best, you know, out there for long road.
Yeah.
But you're not going to beat a Zero in electric.
No, I mean, I'd be very interested to see how this Pan America, especially because I like a lot of off-road riding myself.
You got out in England, man. You guys got the terrain for a Pan America. Out here, it's either going to be out west or something like that. I wouldn't ride one. If I was you, I'd get an African.
Yeah. They got a good reputation. The African twins, definitely. I mean, it's good. I actually saw the Pan America a motorcycle show here, and I just started picking holes in its design. I know it's only a kind of a prototype phase yet. It's not in full production, or all the design hasn't been fully formed. But I started picking holes in it. I thought if you ride that off road, it's going to break within a mile or 2 miles. It needs more protection, and maybe that's a good thing in that they're showing us the bike already, and they're trying to get a bit of feedback from people who do a bit of off road riding to say, actually, we've got a bit of time to make the changes before we bring this to market. The Bronx, the Street Fighter. Again, I'm not sure this is the right thing for Harley to do. I think that's such a big competitive market, and they've just got to come in. As with the Pan America, they've got to come in and deliver a bike that's better on price, but also is better, better than the rest.
Well, they've already fell flat on their face with the 550s and 750s.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're never going to take on the Japanese in that market, or they're not going to hit Triumph on that market. They've been around too long. They've been too busy peddling with the big bike market.
Yeah. It's funny. I went into a dealership a few months ago, whatever it was, and speaking to the salesman, he's saying, those street the street, Harley Street, the 557 or 557, 500 750s. They're all stuck in a warehouse somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're not selling them. I said, well, there you go. That says it already, doesn't it? But
Right.
Listen, I suppose this is an interesting one. The next question is, I'm not so sure that Harley as a company have a long-term future.
No.
But what do you think?
They're looking like AMF right now.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. You know what? They got away from their core base. They didn't diversify. The V-Rod, I think, was the downturn of Harley Davidson. You have to get that younger generation into the lifestyle. If not, you got to dying off. And like I said, they've been too busy into the big bike market to diversify. And you had the other companies step in. And let's admit it, Harleys, they're not that dependable, man. Already with my 01, I had to freaking get into the engine work. And I was like, come on, man, after 25,000 miles, if, say this one part is bad, it's going to blow up the whole damn engine. Give me a freaking break. The cam shoes is what I'm talking about in the temperature. You got people know what that is. But come on, that was right out of the bat. You can destroy an engine if you didn't catch that stuff. The engineering's just bad quality, I think.
Yeah. Do you think it's got better though?
They're trying to, they're trying to keep up with Honda, Yamaha, and I'll be quite frank, if it wasn't for clubs, I wouldn't have rode a Harley.
Really?
Yeah. You know what? Even Sonny from 81, he even said he'd rather rode a BMW. They're just more comfortable. The Boulevards, I had a bunch of them because I've always had two bikes at one time. Because I'd had my main bike, which is a Harley you had to use for the club, but I always had the one that I thought was comfortable, So, again, I'm mostly in the Suzukis, Triumphs. I love the way Triumph's coming out with their T100s and, their the American bikes, the Triumph America. They just got the technology. It's like they take care of it. Where Harley just, okay, let's go off of our logo, let's go off our brand name, and they'll buy whatever we put out there.
I think you're right, definitely, in terms of Harley, that they've relied on their brand. And people wanting to buy into that brand and lifestyle, and not necessarily, they haven't really invested in the technology in their bikes. But
it hasn't been but the last 2 or 3 years that they've been investing in it.
Yeah.
That's just like me. When I see somebody wearing they got a tattoo of a Harley Davidson logo, it's like, what the hell are you doing with that thing, man? They don't care about you. Why are you putting that on your body?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. They don't care about you at all. You're just a little number on their balance sheet. That's all they care about, really.
But I don't think they're going to recover. I think in the next 10 years they're going to be hurting.
Yeah. It's interesting. We talk about merchandise and people wearing Harley's stuff. From what I see, let's say about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I used to see a lot more people wearing the Harley merchandise. Harley jackets, T-shirts, the chaps, all this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Not so much now. You still see it, but not so much. Not as much as you once did. So Harley used to, pin their hat on. They'd sell the bikes, they'd sell the accessories, but it's the merchandise. They were always pumping out that stuff. I'm not so sure that's working anymore for them.
Well, not when it costs $100 for a T-shirt.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They might as well be a clothing line than a motorcycle manufacturer.
Yeah. It's funny. I spoke to a guy a few months ago, and he was telling me he met the head of European, let's say Harley Davidson in Europe a few years ago. I forgot what her name was at the time, and she was saying, actually, we don't need motorcycles. We're just selling. All our profit comes from the merchandise and the T-shirt, not from the bike sales. Well, there you go. That says it all, really, doesn't it?
Right.
But I think Harley have got a big problem personally.
When you got a new generation calling Harley anybody who rides a Harley Davidson a grandpa's bike, you got a problem.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't think. I think they're trying to address it. I think they're trying to get the younger generation. I think the people who are coming over to Harley, especially with the new Softails, as I was, once they ride them, they think, I get it. I understand. This is a new Harley now, and this is the right way to go. But I think they're still not going to attract the younger people because one,
No.
it's price. It's price. They don't make entry level bikes that are good enough that
Well,
can
just like
compete.
what I did, because I did 20th. I just put out a video or a segment on Motorcycle Madhouse of the 20 motorcycles coming in 2020, and a lot of them were sports bikes. I was like, you got a lot of the old timers bashing them. Then I go back and say, you know what? If they were around when you were around, you'd rode them too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, it's different. See, I think they've just got to cater to all sorts of different people.
Mm.
And as when I had this conversation with someone on my channel a while ago, talking about Harleys and compare them to like Honda, and so actually Honda, they make all their money off the low engine capacity bikes, or the mopeds, or the scooters, whatever, which they're selling all over the world in thousands and thousands of units.
Well, you got to remember with Honda here in the United States, if they didn't make that one screw up in 70, they would have been just as popular as Harley. And that screw up was only nice people ride Hondas.
Oh, yeah.
That marketing campaign.
I remember that.
You got to remember, a lot of the choppers were made with 750s and 550s back then.
Yeah.
If they didn't make that screw up, they would have been one of the number ones here.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, so I think they've got a long way to go, but we'll see. We'll see if they can recover it. I'm not so sure. I think
10 years. That's what I give them.
Yeah, I think they're going to have stronger competition from Indian. I think that's the. I think for you guys over there in the state who are flying their kind of patriotic flag, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to shift over to Indian. And leave Harley behind, I think.
Well, the problem with Polaris, Indian's a great bike, but when they got rid of that victory line, they made a mistake.
I'm 100% with you. 100% with you. I was a big fan of Victory at the time, and I remember going to a couple of shows, and it was big Victory stand, and everybody was really enthusiastic about them. I liked them. I thought there's some great bikes.
Oh, they were awesome.
Good alternative to Harleys, I thought. Really good bikes.
Well, that would have been Polaris's downline. Indian could have been its, your major headliner. Then you had Victory for all those others that couldn't afford the Indians. They were an awesome bike. That was a mistake.
They were relatively inexpensive. They were good, just great bikes. At the time, Indian, they were just re-emerging, weren't they? And then all of a sudden you say, well, chop Victory and go into Indian. I just thought,
that was a mistake.
What are you doing? But there you go. Who knows? Who knows? Right. Okay. Next question then. Would you ever? I suppose we kind of already answered this, but let's not about you. Let's not make this about you. Let's make this about motorcycle clubs in the United States in particular. Do you think there'll ever be a day, considering what we've talked about tastes are changing and the new kids coming into clubs are changing? Do you think there'll ever be a day where these traditional motorcycle clubs will say, no, you don't have to have American, you can have whatever bike you want?
Well, right now, that's never going to happen with the dominance, but right now it's already happened with the other 99% clubs.
Right.
You can have most of them, they don't care what you ride. As long as it's a cruiser, has so many CCs, it's good for them.
Right.
So it's already starting right now. You got to remember the older generation. And the reason why it was with the American bikes was the older generation. You got to remember, came out of World War II. They fought Germany. They fought freaking Japan.
Yeah.
Then, the Vietnam guys, they stuck with that way of thinking. My generation stuck with that type of thinking. Nowadays, it don't matter.
Yeah, we have exactly the same thing here in Europe and in the United Kingdom as well. For many, many years, it was like that. And you have people still thinking that, but still disconnected from what had gone on in the past. But now, we're all one big global family, I suppose. So,
Right, right. BMW, that was a no-no, but I love BMWs.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ducatis out of Italy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that way of thinking's gone, man. And that's why a lot of clubs are letting everybody in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's now,
I always say, you know what? When you're in a bar and if somebody's going to come up and hit you with a pool cue, is that Harley going to jump for you? You know?
yeah, yeah, exactly right, exactly right. Let me ask you a question with in terms of the the dominant clubs over there, or the 1% clubs, whatever, and the 99% clubs. Is there a strong bond between the two, or do the because things are changing over there in the United States as well, not only in terms of motorcycling or motorcycle use, not in the dominance, I appreciate that, but in the 99% clubs. But is the relationship still the same? Is that you've
Well,
got
I
the
can
dominant?
tell you for a fact, and regardless of what you see on the internet, the protocol I believe in. Sometimes I think they're doing some stupid stuff. But when I was in, everybody was a family. We had like 30 clubs in the Confederation of Clubs when I was
Mm,
in there. Everybody would go to each other's parties. It was just, everybody would go on the rides. And that's why I never understood why pop-up clubs didn't want to go to protocol, route. It's like, man, you're making all kinds of friends. You're doing you're bringing money into your clubhouse.
sure.
The I can only speak for here in Chicago where I was in the club. Our dominant AOA was the best freaking guys you can ever meet. I love them guys still to them day. I talk to some of them, and they're a different dominant than most that I know. You know,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
more the blue collar guys, ones you can go up to, talk to. Where you got movie stars, and I won't say the clubs, but they got this attitude. They got their nose up in the air, and they wonder why people want to knock them out. But anyway, uh, you know,
yeah,
I know the dominant here got along with everybody.
yeah. Is is the the pop-up clubs which we're talking about, do you think that has kind of uh, got more and more over the last few years because people aren't really doing their research properly, or they're looking at TV and they're thinking, oh, we're just going to start a club? They don't even think about the real world of the biking clubs.
Well, I think they're scared. They don't want to go through protocol. They're scared to go up to the dominant. They start buying into some of these people that are on social media saying you don't have to do this or don't do that. One of
Right.
the idiots finally quit, I guess. Uh, giving their opinions out that's going to actually get people hurt on the street, or you got this one cop giving advice out. It's like, really, guys?
Yeah.
If you're in Chicago, you're going to get knocked out. But I just think they're scared to go up and face the dominance and say, hey, this is what we got and this is what we want to do and do it the right way. And the dominants can actually teach you a lot, man. They got the history. They've been around 70 years. You might want to listen to them.
Do you think that a lot of these pop-up clubs, as you call them, do you think they just don't want to have anything to do with the politics, or they just don't want to have anything to do with any association with a dominant club based
Well,
upon all
well,
the
if that's the
attention that,
case, the protocol is okay. There's a one piece. Well, the way it was when I was around it, it's all blurred now. But
yeah,
there was a one-piece patch, a two-piece patch, and a three-piece patch. If you just didn't want to get involved in that stuff, you started a riding club and you put on a
yeah,
one-piece patch. That solves everything.
yeah, 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 exactly right. Yeah,
But when you throw on those rockers, then you're saying, okay, I'm claiming this, and the street's a lot different, man. You better back it up then at that point.
yeah,
But if they didn't want to get involved in the politics, start an association or start a riding club. You're done. You don't have to worry about it. But they want the mystique, like you were saying, from Sons of Anarchy.
yeah.
They want to act like that. It's about the public's perception. Everybody in the biker scene knows what they're about.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know what it's like in Chicago. I have no idea. But let's just say that you've got the kind of traditional American V-twin motorcycle clubs, let's say, and then you've got other motorcycle clubs that have a mix of bikes, or or just sports bikes. You know, maybe you've got all white clubs, you've got Afro-American, Afro-Caribbean clubs, or black clubs, whatever you want to call them out there. You know, do they operate on the same motorcycle scene? Do they go to the same sort of parties, or is it a separate? Is it a separate kind of parallel motorcycle scene, if you know what I mean?
Well, you're always going to have your white set, your black set, but in Chicago, we had sport bikes going to parties. We had guys that were black going to parties. Chicago was a melting pot. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
nobody was excluded just because what they were riding or any of that stuff.
All right. Okay.
Most of the clubs crap weren't all Harley based, and then you had your mixed racials. That's a big thing coming up in the States, and that's something I really think is great. The mixed race clubs, because you got all kinds of, see, I'm a big thing in the culture, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like experience different cultures and different viewpoints on life, and I
Sure.
think that's a awesome thing happening now. But yeah, sport bikes and everybody melted, and I know with the Confederation anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
No, look, I have no reason to think why there shouldn't be a mixing up of anything.
the old days are long gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
well,
might
yeah,
not have blacks into a white dominant. That's just the way the bylaws are, man. But
yeah,
that don't mean the guys in there don't.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not going to
Okay.
treat you like a man.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay, right. Next question then, and this is kind of, you've already touched on it a little bit, so I'm going to kind of dig a little bit deeper. What motorcycle media do you like? What is the future of it? And what other YouTube channels do you watch? And are there any that you dislike?
Well, you got as far as motorcycle media. When I first came up, all we had to do was wait for Easy Riders or Outlaw Biker magazine. You had to wait a month to find out what was going on. It's all
Yeah,
internet based now. Like I said, actually, Insane Throttle's overtaken Easy Riders on the net. We just screened past them.
yeah,
So the modern day is going to be the net, as is other news. You got 24-hour news cycles now, and that's what we really concentrate on as news part. A lot of other channels will be giving you MC protocol and that kind of stuff. I really don't get into because you're not going to learn it unless you go out and do it. So
yeah, yeah,
why am I going to go out and talk about it all the time? Yeah, I'll try to get you away from it because, like I said, most people don't know what it's about. So why waste a club's time? But I really
sure.
think it's the media is going to be all internet based. It's going to be podcast. Like right now, our podcast, that's our main business, is our radio show.
Yeah,
That is, I can reach worldwide instead of if I'm an AM or an FM station,
yeah,
just a region. I'm
yeah,
reaching
yeah.
everybody
Sure.
online.
Yeah, yeah.
So as far as YouTube channels, I like Black Dragon. I like FHO, Big Cell. What other ones? Because I really don't watch a lot of YouTube. I got to check yours out, by the way.
Yeah.
uh,
What
the
what do you
ones that
think?
I dislike, you got that freaking cop out there trying to talk like he's some kind of club guy. He actually infiltrated a couple motorcycle clubs here in Chicago.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think he's Fingers Johnson stuff.
Oh,
I
right.
can't stand him. Then I guess the one guy, Backroad Homo, I call him, but Backroad Biker Adventures, he quit.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a guy that's trying to give it about. He's one of those that don't know his identity. He got kicked out of the photography business. Now I guess he's going back. Then he got you know, into the motorcycle scene. He got butthurt because he was wearing a Chicago rocker, which is a no-no. And I guess the Ditos put him in his place. Then all of a sudden he was against motorcycle clubs and telling everybody to start their own. And he's going to get people hurt, but now he's gone. And then he's talking about how clubs are criminals, and here he is. He's got a worse criminal record than anybody. We never released what he was convicted of, but because he's gone now. But he was just a hypocrite, you know.
Yeah, I know the chap you mean. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of that sort of stuff myself, but I've come across him. He's sort of come up on your feed on YouTube. Oh, who's this character? And you think, well,
I really like Adam Sandoval, because away from my show, because everybody thinks we're club related. We're not club related.
Yeah.
We just report news. We're a biker news site.
Yeah.
We're not one of them trying to give advice either way.
Yeah.
We're an equal. We piss everybody off equally, I always say.
Yeah. I like sort of channels that give me information.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I can learn about. I watch your channel. I watch a Black Dragon every now and again. Just because I'm not because I want to be in a club. I just generally information. I'm generally interested in the information.
Well, with me and MCs, I'm too old. I'm done with it. I lived that life. Now, mostly what I'm trying to put out, and I'm going to be doing a new series where I go out to dealerships, motorcycle reviews. That's the kind of stuff I really love. Most people don't get that because they get their biker news from me, but I'm into a lot of different stuff. Lowriders and all that stuff.
Yeah, I do a lot of sort of Harley stuff now and Harley tech stuff and about particular bikes in the soft house. But I talk about all sorts of different stuff, and then in the past I've done a lot of off-road riding type videos. But yeah, I think for me the channel has always been about more about my interests in biking life as opposed to one particular thing.
Right.
And I think sometimes it's very difficult to please everybody or to please, continue to please people. You just got to go out and do your own thing, and hopefully people come along for the ride with you, if you know what I mean.
Well, everybody loves the biker news stuff, but, I understand clubs are something a lot of people want to be in, but it's not everything about the biker scene, man.
No.
I'm more to independent stuff, because they see me on the line, they hear me on the radio, but I'm a totally different person off air.
I think, this is what I've always said about not motorcycle clubs, but people who want to be in a motorcycle club. And I always say the same thing. And so, what is it that you want from a motorcycle club? Or what do you think you can give to a motorcycle club? And, a lot, you hear it all the time, people talking about, freedom and all this sort of stuff, it's almost like they're holding a sword and they're going to say, yeah, I'm going to be cutting through all the bullshit because I'm going to be in a motorcycle club. But I'm just saying, but that's not freedom. Freedom is not being in a motorcycle club. Freedom is just doing your own thing.
Right.
Being your own person, not wearing any colors on your back. Just getting on your bike if you're into bikes, getting on your bike, making your own decisions, going where you want to go. That's freedom.
Right. Well, you know what? When people say, well, I want brotherhood. Well, there ain't no brotherhood. There is no true brotherhood out there.
Yeah.
Because people are going to put their best interest in mind before you.
Yeah.
And I hear it all the time within the club scene, and I've seen it happen. We're brothers. Yeah, until you're testifying against me on the stand.
Yeah. I think this is one of my things that have been the things that I've seen over the years where people are using brotherhood, sisterhood a lot. They probably using it too much.
I won't even use the word.
Yeah, it's just it's. You hardly know somebody and you're saying that. Now, I appreciate that people are using it as like a term of endearment, term of affection. They love somebody, they like what they're saying, they say, hey, bro, that's right. And I understand that. But I think
most of the time when somebody says bro, they forgot your name. That's the only reason they do it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in England, we would say hello, mate, because you can't remember their name. Hello, mate. But it's exactly the same. I think people meet. I think they've got good intentions when they say brother. Or I don't dispute that, but I think it's almost like within the biker or motorcycling lifestyle or biker lifestyle, it's almost like everybody's using it now, and it's just like, well, you should know that it's there is a difference here.
Well, you know what? Even 20 years ago, I wouldn't call guys in the club, brother.
Yeah.
That's the way I just was. If I didn't know you for more than 25 years or something, hey, what's up, buddy? That's what you know, if you ever read my comments on my channel, it's always okay, bud, or something like that. I never use that.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, look, as you say, clubs are changing, people are changing, people want different things, and at the end of the day, you're going to be covering their own ass.
If you want to be a true biker, stay independent. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the true lifestyle, is being an independent.
Yeah, I agree. But listen, I mean, you know, we all, from time to time, we all get people who would kind of criticize us or criticize anybody, whether you're on TV, radio, on YouTube, whatever. I mean, do you get many people sort of criticizing sort of what you do? Or
oh man, I get it daily, man.
Oh really?
I get it daily. You know, the haters are out there, especially when I'm giving out the biker news or giving opinions and stuff. Like I said, I'm equal opportunity, dude. I'll piss on your Wheaties or their Wheaties. If you're in the news, it's your problem. It's your fault. I'm reporting the news. You don't like it, go screw off. You know, I deal with a lot of clubs all the time, and I deal with a lot of haters. And they're like, well, why do you do that? Well, you know, we are biker news, man. You got us screwed up with one of these other platforms where they're giving advice or they want to suck on your pole. We're not like that, you know, so we get a lot of haters.
Does that come from sort of club members, or does that come from sort of general?
Well, it's funny. It's not the club members that do it. It's freaking a lot of times it's their supporters.
Oh, right. Okay.
Or if you got other, you know, one thing I always say with the content creators, if you try to hit us, we're going to come back with a sledgehammer after you. You know, we're just not going to play with you or any of that stuff. We'll find out about you, and then we'll put all your 100. We're a news service. We're actually licensed. So we got where we can go to here or there and do backstories, but
yeah.
It's mostly supporters.
Yeah, it's interesting. Occasionally, I'm very lucky on this channel so far. I don't get much of that. I don't get much hate mail or bad comments.
Well, I get about anywhere between 500 and 700 emails a day, and maybe 20% of that is haters.
Really? Wow.
You got to have a thick skin when you're doing it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But it's interesting. A couple of months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, I think I put out a video or something, and then I started getting these comments from this one guy, and lots of comments. And first of all, you know, I always say to people, you can say whatever you want on my channel. I'm not going to delete your comment or whatever. And
you better warn your people though, because YouTube's came out with a lot of bad stuff where they're.
No, that's absolutely right. I don't swear on my channel, and I tell people all that sort of stuff.
But if they're doing it now, where you got to do your comments, if you got people swearing and stuff, you got to.
But I said to them, I said to say whatever you like. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine, because that adds to the discussion, and that's what this is all about. It's great, you know. But if you start lying about me, or you start telling people that I'm doing something that I'm not, that's where you'll get my my reply.
Oh, I get that all the time, man. But everybody knows my history. It's out there. They can verify it. You know, like I said, I'll come back with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, I do as well.
I love a debate. I love debates, but when you get stupid and you don't know what you're talking about, it's mostly those guys who want to be in a motorcycle club, but they just don't got the balls to go do it.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Just get a thick skin. That's what I can tell you, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's what you look. As you say, you're always going to get. Even those channels. Let's say that you don't agree with what they're doing or what they're saying, that chap that you were on about that.
Well, it was funny. You got Adam Sandoval. Here's a guy who rode America, helping our vets. He's doing everything he can. He's a great freaking guy. And then you got that idiot over there bashing him as a one. That dude's rode more freaking miles than you can dream.
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so just because he doesn't live in a hut somewhere in the middle of the desert, it's
right.
It's ridiculous. People can. That's a problem. People can say whatever they say, and the more controversial you are, the more people are gonna sort of be attracted to you as well. And now, if you say that kind of guy, he's probably gonna go off and do something else completely. And he's had his fun. And it's always interested me that people have always been really supportive of that kind of person. Well, what are they going to do now? Because if he's not making content anymore,
Well, the
who are they
problem
going to be
is a
listening
guy
to?
like that can actually get some people really hurt on the street, man.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I don't believe in any of, I believe in doing what you got to do, but I don't believe in people getting hurt over some stupid crap.
Yeah, absolutely right.
I don't like seeing people hurt, and I think that's why I am the way I am, pushing people
Yeah.
away from that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think, if you're going to start criticizing other people for whatever bike they ride or whatever clothes they wear or what kind of supposed lifestyle they've had, then
Right.
at some point somebody's going to get hurt, and it's based upon your words.
Yeah.
So that's
And they
right.
get away with it. Nothing happens to them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. Last thing then. Let's get back to bikes, shall we? And all that sort of stuff. If Harley had to do or had to change one thing right now, today, what would it be? Would it have
Well,
to be price?
you're always going to have the price point, but I think reliability.
Really?
They are so behind in reliability with the Jap manufacturers, the BMW Comfort,
Yeah.
even Indian with its Dark Horse has more. With the GPS and all that good stuff. I just think Harley's out of its league. And I think they got to start concentrating more on the 1200cc or below than they do big bikes. They already got that market. They didn't diversify. That's their problem.
Yeah. So would you say, like with these new engines, the Pan American, the Bronx, that engine is going to be the way forward for them?
The Milwaukee you're talking about?
No. The one, the Pan American, the Bronx have got that new liquid cooled engine.
Oh, the liquid cool. It's
Yeah.
about time they get in the liquid cool.
Yeah. I agree.
It's about time. I just would suggest the first 3 years of a new model, stay away from them because you're like the live wire. As soon as they came right out, they already had a recall going on.
Yeah, I know. I'm
So
not sure.
I always tell.
I'm
Go ahead.
not sure of any bike really, or any machine. When it's first released to the market, you always need a bit of bedding in time. It gets we as the public, we have to test these machines. We find out what the problems are, then they fix them. After a couple of years, you've got a decent bike, or decent.
Well, what I always say is go out there, and here in the States, it's easier. You go out on the used market, and I think that's what's killing Harley too. Is they're competing against their own bikes on the used market. Because you got some of these guys that go ride them for 3 years, put maybe 8,000 miles on them, and then sell them for half the cost.
Yeah.
And, well, that's how I picked up my Boulevard, man. I got there's only 16,000 miles on it, and I got for $2,000. You know?
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I never buy anything over $10,000.
Yeah.
Now, that's my rule. You got to spend that much money on a bike without customizing it on yourself, then that's too much.
Yeah. I suppose now, because the M8's been out, the M8 engine's been out, what, 2 years, just over 2 years now? A lot of people I think, actually would just buy bikes from the twin cams or from the diners, all that kind of stuff. I think, we'll get our fun there. We're not going to spend all this money.
There's no damn way I'll spend. You have to it's like having a mortgage on a house, what they want.
Yeah.
The new 2020 CVO that's coming out, they have one that they're doing them in a limited $1,000 thing.
Yeah.
No bike's worth that.
Yeah. Sorry, how much was that? Was coming up?
48,000 for the. Yeah, I just did the review on my channel, and it's like, are you kidding me for a CVO?
Yeah.
No, I can't even see 23,000 for these. But I guess the 48,000 one's a limited edition, whatever. That's just their way of getting money.
The thing is, as you so rightly said, the Harley brand was built upon the working class
Damn
rider.
right it was.
The blue collar rider, as you say, and that has changed over the years.
Oh,
It's changed
yeah.
all over the world. It's changed, not only for
Well,
Harley.
it first started in, I think we were calling it the Rub Invasion in '94 is when it started. Before then, you could get a Harley whenever you want. They got at that point in '94 where you put on a waiting list. There's no bikes and dealerships at that time.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, they just skyrocketed in price. They forgot
yeah,
who the core customer is.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Like, I think basically what's happened not only with Harleys, because you get the same price inflation with all the other manufacturers, especially with their bigger bikes. You get BMWs, Hondas. You're talking $25,000, something like that, $30,000, and you think, what? Who can afford this? Who can
Right.
afford this? And I know you got different finance options on these bikes and all that kind of stuff, but this is a lot of money to go and spend on a new bike. And I just think what's happened is that not only have people got richer, but I've always said, and it was a similar thing in the United States, but it certainly was the same here. Motorcycling was started from engineering background, people who used to like to get their hands dirty and greasy, whereas the cars started from, the gentry, the people with lots of money. That's
Mhm.
how it started at the turn of the century. The car guys, went that way. The bike guys went that way. And you had two different lifestyles, two different mentalities. But at some stage, some of those car guys started coming over and
Right.
they started bringing their money, and they started getting into the biking world, and that's what's happened. The prices have got higher. You got more and more people who never want to get their hands dirty, but they want to ride. They want this feeling. So
Mhm.
now bikes, they have to be ultra reliable because people don't want to fix them. They just
Right.
want to flick the switch, twist, and go. That's what they want.
Yeah,
They don't want to.
the days of shovelhead and ironheads are long gone.
Look, can you imagine those in this day and age as a
Oh
new
my
model?
God, they wouldn't be
No,
able to deal with it.
no chance. No chance.
No.
Unless you're selling them for about $2,000 or $3,000 or something, then
Right.
people say, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take a punt. And if it breaks down, I'll just leave it on the side of the road. I don't care. It's only three
Mhm.
grand, right?
Right.
But for a $30,000, $40,000, pound, whatever motorcycle, you want something a lot better than that,
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so you say reliability. Well, I say it's a bit of everything. I'd say it's a bit of price, reliability, the engine. I think they've got to evolve, keep on evolving, but I think they've got to change the image of,
Oh
of
yeah.
Harley Davidson, of the biking scene, on what it is. I think,
Mhm.
and not pander to this kind of TV
Right.
perception of what Hollywood, pardon the pun, what Hollywood think a biking lifestyle should be. It's
Right.
actually, why don't you just ask the people who are riding the bikes first of all, what a biking lifestyle is. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Rock on, man.
Right. Anyway, listen, that's it. That's the end of the questions.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed that. And anything else to add?
Well, I'll get you out there, man. Just send me a link to your channel. I'll make sure we'll get you a shout out there on our YouTube. On our again, our main deal is motorcyclemadhouse.com. That's our radio show,
Yeah.
and I'll get you out there, man.
Brilliant. Well, go and check out Hollywood on YouTube as well. And Insane Throttle Biking News, Motorcycle Madhouse, all the links there for all the different websites as well. That's really good. Look, I hope you enjoyed the channel. Also, I hope you enjoyed the video. Found that useful. I certainly found it really informative. Great talking to you, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Talking later, man. That was
Brilliant.
awesome.
Brilliant. Okay. Hello. So everybody, just leave your comments below. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out the website, RevelatorAlf.com, and I will catch you again, well, whenever that is. Ta-da now.
Talk to you later.
And